Hey everybody, and good evening. And tonight, let's talk about the IFI Audio Zen 1 signature. Before we get started, I also want to do sort of an unboxing, although not really an unboxing because there really isn't much to talk about with an unboxing. You pull it out of the box. Of course, you get the DAC. You get this aerial for the Bluetooth, and you also get the iPower X power supply. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That's basically what it comes with. Of course, it comes with manuals, kind of tell you what the buttons do and what all the colors mean on the front when it lights up. But yeah, pretty straightforward. So first off, a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to be doing this, of course, in a pro and con style. It's how I've done a lot of my reviews over the past 6 months or so, and I really have come to like that style very, very much because I think it kind of keeps my focus on what I'm talking about as opposed to meandering, which I do have a tendency to do. But also I want to say I'm not going to be framing this in a matter of better. I want to move my reviews away from this prospect of better, this idea of this item is better than that item. Because as I talked about in a couple recent videos, I don't really believe that there is a better. I mean, objectively there is a better, but I think subjectively there really isn't a better. There's more of just a preference. There's a difference. And that's kind of how I want to frame these product reviews going forward. And particularly, of course, starting with the Zen 1 signature from IFI Audio. So anyway, let's get to it. First thing, of course, is versatility. It is a very versatile product from a lot of different perspectives. You got balanced out, regular single-ended out. You have optical coax in. You also have coax out, which means you could use this as a USB to SPDIF converter. Of course, that also means that it'll convert any of the other three inputs into that coax output. So for example, this could be like a Bluetooth receiver to an external DAC. I don't know why you would spend $300 on this to do that, but you could, and I sort of like the idea of that versatility. It's got a lot of functionality here. Of course, USB, of course, Bluetooth, obviously, as the others mentioned. Around front, the unit is pretty straightforward. You've got your input button here, which is one of the cons I'll talk about in the con section. Of course, power switch, and yeah, pretty simple. It does display your kilohertz, and whether or not you're using DSD, it does display that information as well. So definitely very, very nice and hugely versatile. So the second pro, of course, is going to be sound quality. And you know, you'll have to understand that my relationship with IFI Audio in terms of having their products and listening to their products, I've come to find over the few years that I've been using their products that more or less they tend to have a neutral sound with just a hair bit of warmth. This, on the other hand, really kind of comes across as just strictly neutral sounding. It doesn't really favor, you know, warmth, or it doesn't favor the opposite way. It doesn't come across analytical sounding, but it comes across very sort of with a definite sense of neutrality. And I think that kind of threads the line pretty good because, like I said, I think a lot of IFI Audio products that I've heard over the years definitely have this neutrality with a hair bit of warmth to it, with a sense of warmth to it, which comes across as making it pleasurable to listen to, generally speaking. And this kind of has more of that neutrality. And I'm not sure exactly why. And, you know, it really is regardless of input, whether you're using the Bluetooth, the USB, any of the digital inputs, it has that same character. So it's definitely the DAC itself. And by the way, Bluetooth is fantastic. It really goes to one of my other thoughts of IFI Audio is they are making some of the best sounding Bluetooth in the hi-fi industry, without a doubt, 100%. But yeah, build quality. It's a very nice, well-made unit. I will say this is a little bit heftier than I've seen with the Zen DAC. I think it feels a little better. I'm not sure why. It's effectively the same form factor, metal casing, that type of thing, metal buttons on the front, but it just feels a little more solid. I think maybe just the weight is a little heavier here. Perhaps they use a different metal for the outer chassis here. But yeah, build quality is lovely. You feel like you can almost toss this thing, you know, and have it come out. For the cons, and there's only one con, and that is going to be the input selector. You see what happens is there are effectively 4 inputs on this thing. You've got Bluetooth, USB, optical, and coax. Okay. Now around front, if we look at the input button, there's only 3 options. So you have 3 options for 4 inputs. Of course, we have Bluetooth, Bluetooth. We have this icon in the middle, which is your SPDIF input, and then of course USB on the end. Now what happens is I had my TV, which I've been streaming off of, believe it or not, Apple, Tidal. I have Google TV, so all of that's available. Been streaming into this using optical, and I've been running my CD player into the coax at the same time to listen to CDs through the coax. And the problem with it is if I'm watching TV and then I decide that, you know what, let's stop watching TV or streaming or whatever, let's switch to the CD player and listen to some CDs. And if I do that, it seems to prioritize the coaxial input, for example. Now, I don't think there's an actual way for it to switch over without you intervening. The way I found that it works is you would cycle the inputs. So you're on the SPDIF input and you would cycle it 3 times back to the SPDIF input. As long as it's not receiving a coaxial signal, if it's receiving an optical signal from the TV, in this case, it will cycle to that as opposed to the coax, if that makes sense. I'm just finding I have to cycle. Sometimes I've had to do it 2-3 times to get it to cycle through. Sometimes I have to power it off and then power it back on to get it to switch SPDIF inputs. It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, forgive me, but why in the fuck would you do that? Why not just make it have 4 icons here? My God, Jesus, it would be so simple. And then you would have this headache. And I guarantee I'm not the only one. So yeah, that is it overall. I was pretty satisfied other than the input situation in terms of the input selector. But other than that little niggle, I was very, very happy with it in terms of sound quality, build quality, the way that it functions, especially the Bluetooth was very, very nice and very lovely to listen to. And truthfully, I could even say I streamed that. I did a review a few days ago about this album, Polka, by the Wojtek Mazalewski Quintet jazz album. And I streamed it on Tidal and then played it on CD, and I switched between the two. And I honestly could not hear a sonic difference between the Bluetooth and the coax running out of my CD player off of CD. That is how good the Bluetooth sounds in this case. I don't know what magic they're working in there, but it really works and it's really good. I would even go so far as to say buy it for the Bluetooth. That's how fantastic it is, truly. But of course you get the other stuff, obviously the USB as well, and of course the SPDIF as well, and all of it functioned well other than, as I mentioned, the input selector situation. But that's just kind of inherent in the design, I suppose. But yeah, I give it 2 thumbs up. I think at the $300 price point, I mean, let's talk about some alternatives. Of course, you have the shit Modi multi-bit, which is, I think, around the same price. I want to say it's $300 or $350. It might be $250, maybe a little cheaper. But of course, you get the versatility here. With the Modi multi-bit, you get SPDIF, you get optical, or excuse me, I should say you get coax, optical, you get USB. But that's it. Of course, this adds Bluetooth, and not only regular Bluetooth, it also adds quality Bluetooth, which is hugely important and makes it hugely versatile, in my opinion, in that respect. Of course, you also get the SPDIF out. You could use it from a USB to SPDIF converter if you'd like. You could use it to a Bluetooth to SPDIF converter, basically having it as a Bluetooth to digital receiver. I don't know why you'd spend $300 for that, but you could, and you'd have a fantastic one. But yeah, hugely versatile versus the Modi multi-bit. I mean, I think you could step up a little bit more. You can get something like the Chord Mojo 2, although that's kind of double the price at that point. I want to say the Chord Mojo 2 is like $700. Of course, there's the secondhand market. I mean, you can go on and on with products, but I think standalone, I think this is a fantastic product. It really is worth the $300 they're asking for it. And as I've said, when I talked about reviewing it and talked about getting it in another video, I mentioned that this is one of the few dedicated DACs, standalone DACs, that IFI Audio has made. And I really think they kind of blew it out of the park with this. They really did a fantastic job. And yeah, anyway, 2 thumbs up and peace out.